Goes, welcome one, welcome all. It's time for another exciting edition of the show with no name. So get ready for liftoff. 10, 9, 8, come on. You know the rest, folks. 4, 3, 7. Oh no, not 7. Not 7.
Ignition. Liftoff.
All right.
Liftoff.
Here we go. Here we go.
Get ready. Hold on to your hats. Strap on your seatbelt. Fasten your seatbelts. Hold on to your hats.
And get ready for the ride of your life.
The show with no name time.
On Fun Radio.
It's the show with no name.
Let's go. Yes, amigos, welcome. Welcome to another exciting edition of your daily English extravaganza. Thank you to everybody who tunes in day after day, week after week, year after year, and yes, now for over a decade. Jeez Louise. In fact, I lost track. Was it 16, 17? I don't know. 17 years? I have no idea. But thank you. Thank you so much for being here with me, for participating, for having tons of fun with us here on the show. And a big shout out to all those listeners who can't be with us live every day, but you're here and you tell me that. People such as Dudani. What's up, Dudani? Paco, Edgar, and so many other students who join us afterwards on the podcast. Thank you. Today, we've got an awesome show for you where we're going to play, we're going to learn, we're going to laugh, and hopefully you're going to get that extra energy you need to get you through your morning and bring you right into your afternoon. That's right, because right after today's show, you've got an amazing show called Speaking with Confidence, and it's hosted by Ale. Remember to download the Vaughn Radio app, and you can participate. You can listen to all your favorite programs whenever you want. We're also available on every podcast platform out there. So however you tune into the show with no name or any of the Vaughn Radio programs, we thank you. So, without any further ado, sin más, let's get moving with today's Say What soundbite. Say what? What? That's right, amigos. It is your Say What soundbite. This is where you hear a lot of different accents, a lot of different situations, such as life, right? I know I used to work in an Irish pub, un pub irlandés, and it was like the United Nations in there. You would hear all kinds of accents from all around the world, and it was awesome. It was almost like having an immersion experience. Hey, kind of like Vaughntown. If you guys are interested in getting more information about Vaughntown or any of our initiatives, you can go to grupovaughn.com. That's right, grupovaughn.com, and you can get all the information you need. Also, if you live in Madrid, Barcelona, Bilbao, Vigo, Valladolid, Valencia, Santander, or Zaragoza, stop by in person. Also, a nice round of applause for Nuria, Turani, Chris Valrol, and Anix for participating in our weekly speaking section, the question of the week. So, if you haven't participated ever, my question for you is, why not? I challenge you, te reto. I mean, I don't have to tell you, I think, the importance of practicing your speaking. And then if you can actually receive some feedback on it, well, wow. And there's no doubt that all of you, and those are the names I just mentioned, who participate regularly, you are grabbing your English by the proverbial horns. Keep it up. It's the hardest part, you know? Because you don't only have to listen, but you have to absorb. You have to make sure it stays with you, and then you got to make sure it comes out when you need it. I know, believe me, as a language learner, somebody who's been doing it my whole life, I know it. That's why I love these promises now that you hear. Oh, learn English in 3 weeks. Okay, sure. Now, I'm curious. Do people actually believe that? I'll learn English with 1,000 words. Learn English in 1 month. Really? Is that how it works? Because it almost sounds like they're saying, "Oh, take a secret pill that nobody knows about, and you'll learn English." So be careful, guys. It doesn't work like that. And in fact, learning a language is kind of like any hobby. It's something that you choose to do regularly. It's not a task. Like when you say learn English in 8 months or in 6 weeks or whatever it is, and with like a task. So first things first, you need the right mindset and think, listen, learning a language is a journey. Es un viaje. And hopefully it's something you'll continue to do all your life, and even in your own language. Seriously. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I didn't know that expression. Why? Because Americans aren't the only ones who use the English language. So I've been learning so many things, even since I moved to Europe and I started hanging out with the more international crowd. I was like, wait a second, what is that you just said? Oh, and what is that? I never heard that. It reminds me of the Irish. They say, what's the crack? What's the crack? ¿Cuál es la historia? Or also they say, good crack last night. Now, if you say good crack last night, you're talking about drugs in the United States. But if you say crack in Irish, it's C-R-A-I-C. De hecho, es un homófono para crack, raja o crack. But for them, it means buen rato, buen momento que hemos pasado. Great crack last night. And I remember saying to my friend, what were you doing? But hey, that's what I'm getting at. That it's not 8 months, it's not 2 weeks, it's not 1,000 words, it's a life decision. And if it's fun, well, that's great. It's like, going on vacation. Do you want that to end? Do you want that to only be, a short period in your life? Or do you want it to be a journey, something that you enjoy every step of the way? And I know I don't have to tell you guys that, because you have the right mindset. The word mindset is la cabeza bien puesta, en el sitio, pensándolo bien, mentalidad, I think you could say. All right, well, we've got so much to do, so why don't we listen to our Say What soundbite? Now, again, if you want to participate in the question of the week, time is ticking away. You've only got a few more hours because we look at it on Friday. So you still have a chance to participate. All you have to do is send a 1-minute voice note. Send it to alonso@grupovon.com and tell us, in your opinion, the pros and cons of AI. I look forward to hearing from you all on Friday's show. All right, so here we go. We've got our Say What soundbite now. So see this, the speaking exercise is question of the week. The listening exercise is the Say What soundbite. But you also, aside from listening, have to add your 2 cents, tu granito de arena, because I'm asking you to tell me what you heard. All right, so here it is for the first time.
And then it was year 6, and my contract is now up. I want you to pay me what you're paying the men. I have the highest demographics of all women in television, 18 to 49. You can see I've smartened up by this point.
Hey, honey, do you know when the next Vaughn Radio Trivia Night is?
Yeah, Daddy. It's on Tuesday, November 4th at 8 p.m. And you're hosting.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You're so forgetful, Daddy. What will you do without me?
You're absolutely right, honey. I am a bit absent-minded. Thanks for your help.
Don't mention it. Just mark your calendar. Tuesday, November 4th at 8 p.m. We'll meet you at the Toast Tap Room.
Okay, so let me make sure I've got it. Tuesday, November 4th at 8 p.m. at the Toast Tap Room, Calle San Vicente Ferrer, 33.
Yeah, you got it, Daddy. Be there or be square, amigos.
Excellent.
That's right, folks. Our upcoming Vaughn Radio Trivia Night, hosted by yours truly, as you say in Spanish, un servidor. I hope to see you there. It's kicking off at 8 p.m., but get there a little bit early and we can shoot the breeze. Estar de palique de cháchara. All right, it's at the Toast Tap Room. It's located in Malasaña, so it's pretty centrally located in Madrid. And there are many people, and a big shout out to all of you who don't miss a trivia night. No os perdéis ni una. That's awesome. I have to admit, sometimes I miss him. It depends, depends if my daughter's under the weather. It depends if we have some plans the next day that are pretty hectic, right? Ajetreado. But in the end, I try and make it every month. But I can guarantee November 4th, I'll be there come hell or high water. That's what Richard actually said. Richard Vaughn, when I asked him, I said, hey, are you coming on the 4th? And he said, I'll be there come hell or high water, que venga un infierno o inundaciones, I'll be there. All right, so I hope you'll be there as well to hang out with Richard, Rob Grams, Kyle Miller, myself, and all your other fellow students. All right, now that was your Say What soundbite. It's time to move on to today's Pop Quiz. Pop Quiz. Pop Quiz. Pop quiz, 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 quiz. Pop quiz. Yeah. Let's go. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. That's right, amigos. It is our pop quiz here on the show with no name. And as you know, in our pop quiz section, here we take a look at one of the many amazing materials that you can pick up at Von Tienda. Remember, it's vontienda.com. Also, if you want to stop by in person, you can pick up the books as well. And you can get them at Casa del Libro. You can get them at Amazon, wherever fine books are sold. And today we are looking at my firstborn, mi primer nacido. It's called English Everywhere, Inglés en Cualquier Parte. I've got it in my hands right now. And this is a book that has a little bit of everything. Now, just imagine this. Just imagine a younger me thinking, this is the only book I'm ever going to write. Because you don't normally, when you're writing one book, you're not thinking about the next one yet. You've got all your eggs in that basket. So at this point, young Alberto was thinking, this is it. This is everything. I've got to put it all in here. And little did I know I was going to have another 4 books to add to that collection and many more ideas for books. I just need time. But this is such a complete material. And I'm not just saying it because I wrote it. But really, if you go to a restaurant, there's certain vocabulary you need to know. If you go get a haircut, or you go to the amusement park, or you're cooking in the kitchen, there's certain vocabulary that is a must. Imprescindible. And this book has that vocabulary plus so much more. It's got humor, it's got false friends, it's also got common mistakes in there, pronunciation things, little tricks to remember, these things. So, because let's be honest, the power of association is incredible. The moment you can say, esto lo conecto con esto y me acuerdo, it's over. You'll never forget it. The perfect example for me is the planets. I still remember Mr. Tennant in 2nd grade, o sea, el curso 2, 2nd grade, and he just kept making us repeat over and over, my very educated mother just swam under 9 planets. Who? My very educated mother. What did she do? She just swam. And where did she swim? She swam under 9 planets. And he made us go on for about 20 minutes. And he wrote the sentence on the board, right? He wrote my very, and then he started to erase he erased everything but the first letter of each word. And then he said, Mercury, Venus, Earth. I was like, oh my God, we just learned the order of the planets. And because he made us say that sentence over and over, I feel like even if I got a concussion, I hit my head and I got a concussion, I would still remember the order of the planets. So a shout out to Mr. Tennant for being an awesome teacher. And I'm sure right now, if he knew that I was still talking about him, he wouldn't believe it. And I'll tell you something, Mr. Tennant wasn't my teacher. He was the one, my teacher was Mrs. Gallup. That was her name. But he was our science teacher. I think he taught us science and math, and then our teacher taught us the rest of the stuff. But even though he wasn't my teacher that I saw every day, I will never forget that lesson as long as I live. So never underestimate the power of association. All right, now let's listen to a little excerpt from English Everywhere. If you have the book, which I know many of you do, we are going to the pharmacy today. Okay, pharmacy. Now, the British call it the chemists. We call it the pharmacist, right? The person is the pharmacist. The place is the pharmacy. For us, a chemist is somebody who works in a lab, right? They work with the actual chemicals. And I get it, because before, the pharmacist used to mix the different ingredients themselves. Now everything is made by big pharma, these big drug companies, these conglomerates. But when my grandfather started out, he'd say, okay, I have to mix some of this with this. And it was incredible. So they were chemists at one point. All right, so let's listen to this little audio. As always, I will have some questions for you afterwards.
English everywhere. Oh man, I've got this cough.
and I can't get rid of it. Tengo una tos y no puedo deshacerme de ello. Oh man, I can't stop coughing. Fijaos, no he dicho coughing o coughing o todas las versiones de esta palabra que he oído. Se pronuncia cough. Así de fácil. C-O-F, cough. Cough, esto es inglés, it's rough. Otra palabra que se pronuncia así. Rough, es duro, no es rough. It's rough, como un perro, ¿no? Okay, so I've got a cough. Yeah, oh man, I'm feeling under the weather, un poco pachucho. And well, I've decided it's time, es hora. I've got to go to the pharmacy. Or if you're in England, the chemist, of course. Lovely. All right, well, Layla's cracking up, I guess. Well, Layla, I've spent this book making fun of the English people, but I've always done that. And they make fun of me, and it's de buen rollo. I mean, there are no bad intentions, but I do it also because I always teach in this book. Siempre enseño la versión inglesa de decir las cosas también. Así, de este libro no es solo un libro de inglés, ni británico, ni americano, pero es una mezcla. And, well, pues cuando hago el británico, sabes que tengo que poner el acento, ¿no? All right, y Leila se parte. All right, so Leila, we're going to the pharmacy or the chemist. Ladies and gentlemen from Baugan Radio, very happy to have with us today, Leila Chapoy. What's up, Leila?
Hey, how are you?
Wow, what a pleasure. We're having you here on participating in the book. And I'm excited. Now, your name is in the book, too. Your goal is to find what chapter? Yeah, I put your name as one of the examples. So you're going to have to read my book. This is the way I get my friends to read my book. I put their names in it.
Okay.
And I don't tell them where. Te digo dónde. All right. Well, Leila, now you've traveled. You are a traveler. You love traveling.
I do. It is my passion.
And now the fact that you speak Spanish and English and some Italian has made it easier for you to communicate everywhere you've gone. Is that true?
That's very true, yes.
Now, some things are more important than others. It's always important to know dónde están los objetos perdidos, que nadie sabe decirlo. Me sorprende siempre. Nadie sabe decir, where's the lost and found?
Yeah.
O tengo alergia a tal. These are really important things. All right. Well, have you ever gotten sick abroad? ¿Te has puesto enferma alguna vez en el extranjero?
A couple of times, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure, because you travel out to the Far East.
That's
El
right.
Oriente, ¿cómo se dice? El Oriente Medio es the Middle East. El Oriente, bueno, el lejano, the far, muy lejos, the Far East. And, well, what do you do there? I mean, if you got to go to a pharmacy or a doctor, pues tenemos que saber un par de frases importantes, ¿no?
Very important ones, yes.
All right. Well, I'm lucky because my grandfather, the late Alberto Lembo, was a pharmacist. So I've got some experience, and well, you've got the Spanish and English down. So we're going to teach our listeners today how to deal with all kinds of different situations in the pharmacy.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so the pharmacy. Now, the chemist, the difference between la persona en inglés is the pharmacist, right? Con C-I-S-T al final. Pharmacist.
Pharmacist,
Lo
right?
estoy pronunciando español. Pharmacist, no. Pharmacist. And in English, it's the chemist. Now, in the United States, a chemist exists, but we don't use this word to talk about the person at the pharmacy. A chemist is someone who creates the drugs that they're selling.
Exactly, un
Right? In un
químico.
laboratorio, yeah. A chemist works with oxygen and nitrogen and gases and all this. This is the difference for it in us. So, okay, well, let's take a look. We're going to go over some key vocabulary ahora. Vocabulario clave. Okay, te lo voy a poner a prueba. Sé que lo vas a hacer. You're going to pass with flying colors. Okay, encimera, mostrador.
Counter.
The counter, literalmente el contador, piénsalo así y siempre lo asocias. Lo mismo en una tienda también, the counter, donde cuentas el cambio cuando te lo dan. The counter, si lo asocias, lo acordarás para siempre. Siempre lo digo así. Ok, ¿cuántas debería tomarme diariamente?
How many should I take?
Yeah, how many should I take daily or también podemos decir on a daily basis.
So you see, younger Alberto was talking about the power of association. This is nothing new. In fact, as I said, the day I realized the power that it had, I knew that was one of the best ways to learn something, to teach your brain how to retrieve that information so it was always available at your disposal. All right, well, folks, I've got some stuff that I'm curious to see if you know, and let's take a look. The first one is sarpullido. Okay, you say in Spanish, sarpullido. What else? Another way to say it, erupción. Okay, this is when your skin gets irritated. Maybe you have an allergic reaction or something like this. Use it in context, as always, to make sure you know that you're using it correctly. The next one, tirita. Something we should always have at home because you never know when you're going to cut yourself or whether you're going to need it because you scraped, right? To scrape your arm or your hand along something. So that is tirita. Now, I'll accept the British way to say it or the American way. And the third one is pretty specific, and it's for a reason. And él envolvió el vendaje o la venda alrededor de la herida. Okay, let's see if you know where I'm going with that last one. So number one, use sarpullido in context. Number two, tirita in context. I know those are words we can all identify with because we've all either had that or needed one of those. And the last one, él envolvió el vendaje o la venda alrededor de la herida. Folks, we are going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with much more. So stick around. Welcome back, folks. Welcome back. This is part 2 of today's show with No Name on Vaughn Radio, where we are learning, laughing, and playing. Don't forget to participate in our question of the week. It's your last chance for this week. I want to know your thoughts on AI. It's not IA, it's AI, artificial intelligence. What are your thoughts? Maybe it's affected you already in some way. Remember, you can keep it at around a minute. You should be able to sum it up in about a minute or so. And again, those of you who always participate, awesome. You can tell. Es que se nota. You can tell. All right, in this part of the show, we're going to hear our Say What soundbite for the second time. We've also got to check our pop quiz answers that have to do with the pharmacy and, well, health in general. And then we've got our news report. So much going on here on the show with No Name today and every day. And don't forget to tune in to all our other amazing shows. You've got the Pro Bow Show with Rob Grams. You've got Richard Vaughn Live. You've also got Fits and No Excuses. After this show, you can learn to speak with confidence with Ale. Then you've got the Lunchtime Show. You've got Ruby's show. You've got Let's Get Random with Jules Linares. What a soothing voice. Relajante. Tranquilizador, you say? Soothing. Then you got Wacky Dave Boys, El Chiflado. That's right. We love them. And after that, you've got my buddy Kyle Miller from Canada and his program Drive Time. Followed by Chris Frank and Frankly Speaking. And don't forget about Jessica Fernandez and the Hour to Empower. All right, let's listen to our Say What soundbite. Here it is for the second time. And compared to the ones we've been doing recently, I think this one's going to be a walk in the park. pan comido, as you say. Here it is for the second time.
And then it was year 6, and my contract is now up. I want you to pay me what you're paying the men. I have the highest demographics of all women in television, 18 to 49. You can see I smartened up by this point.
Hey, Damian, what's crack-a-lackin', buddy?
Hey, Alberto, I was planning to do some sports this week. What about playing baseball?
Ooh, baseball. I love it. But I'm not sure yet. Can we touch base next week?
Touch base. Estamos en contacto, ¿no? Hablamos en algún momento. Yeah, okay. Let's touch base. Okay, what about basketball? Do you want to play basketball?
Oh, man, I love basketball. It's one of my favorite sports. But I don't know if I can this weekend because I've already got plans. Oh, man, that's the way the ball bounces.
That's the way the ball bounces. Así están las cosas, ¿no? Así bota la pelota. Así bota la pelota. That's the way the ball bounces. I love that expression. Okay, what about tennis? Do you want to play tennis?
Well, I love tennis, but I'm not really a good player. If you don't mind playing with a novice, the ball's in your court, buddy.
La bola está en mi campo, ¿eh? La pelota está en mi tejado. All right. Do you want to play some soccer?
Sure, I'd love to play some soccer or football, as you call it. What time do we kick off?
Perfect. We're kicking off at 9. Are you available?
Sure, but I might have to play some golf before with some friends. It's par for the course.
It's par for the course. Es lo normal, ¿no? Es lo normalito, lo que se hace.
Mhm.
Okay, what about billiards? Do you like playing billiards?
Yeah, but right now I'm behind the 8 ball.
I'm behind the 8 ball. Estás detrás de la bola 8, como que llevas las de perder.
Yeah, wow, a lot of idiomatic expressions here.
Muy buenas expresiones. Si es que así da gusto aprender inglés con un profe como Alberto y un poquito de creatividad, tienes This Book is the Shit. El mejor libro para aprender inglés que te has echado a la cara in your life. Píllatelo, vas a disfrutar mogollón de dibujos para que lo aprendas todo fácil, con conexiones lógicas y divertidas. Es la manera más sencilla y más divertida de aprender inglés. No te la pierdas.
Damian, you're such a good sport. Te enrollas. You can pick up your copy of This Book is the Shit at
Vaughantienda.com.
It's the Shit. That's right, folks. This Book is the Shit is available at Vaughn Tienda. You can pick it up. I don't know how much it costs, but it's definitely worth its weight in gold. It's This Book is the Shit, my 5th book. But today we are taking a look at my first book, English Everywhere. Inglés en cualquier parte. Again, it's got 40 different chapters, and each one takes you to a different place, okay? Some of them have to do with the beach. Some of them have to do with the mountains. Others are about going shopping, the airport, at a wedding, at the gym, professions. There's even a chapter on numbers. That's right. Well, I know numbers can be a bit confusing. So you can pick up this book at Vaughn Tienda. It comes with audio. As you know, we just heard a little clip of that audio when we got started. All right, let's see who's with us and ready to rock. A couple other things that I wanted to review too really quickly. This is something I've heard this mistake many times. To have something versus to take something. If we have something, it's a coffee, a beer. We grab a bite to eat. To grab a bite to eat is picotear algo, right? And if we take something, well, that's usually because we're not feeling well, right? So take is for medicine and have is for food and drink. And I'll tell you something, if you say it wrong, it almost sounds like you're telling someone, vamos a robarlo. I'll give you an example. When I was working at a bank, I remember a lot of my students would say, Alberto, you want to go take a coffee? And I said, no, you know what? I don't feel like running right now. I'd rather pay for it. And, I know you don't want to, but I'd rather pay for it. Okay, so to take es robar, quitar, sacar de ahí, right? So just be careful. Common mistake, because in Spanish you say vamos a tomar algo, but in English it's let's have something, let's have a bite to eat, let's grab a bite to eat. And we looked at this recently, but it doesn't mean it's out of the top 10. Sigue siendo en los top 10 de errores comunes. Have versus take when we're talking about food and, of course, medicine. Some other things we looked at there. Counter. Easy. Te cuentan el cambio y lo ponen ahí. If you think of it that way, you'll never forget that it's a counter. Okay. We've also got, let's see, I'll put you to the test before we look at your answers. How do you say la caja? Donde te cobran? This is called, in American English, the cash register. Yeah. Okay. We have to pay at the cash register, or at the register, se puede decir directamente. Okay. And the British, how do the British say this? Well, you know what? Remember I was just telling you about that Irish pub that I worked at? Well, they used to say, okay, we've got to count the till. And I was like, till? Hasta? Like until? And they said, no, the till, mate, the till. I'm like, what the hell is the till? And the till is how they say the register in the UK. All right. We already said pharmacist versus chemist. How do we say necesito algo de receta? I need some prescription medicine, right? El verbo to prescribe, right? The doctor prescribes it like an antibiotic or something like that. And if you don't need a prescription, we call it OTC, which stands for over the counter. Over the counter. Okay, let's see. Muletas. Muletas. Do you know this word? Crutches, right? He's using crutches because he sprained his ankle. Se hizo un esguince. If it's more serious, if you break your ankle or you fracture your ankle, then you'll need an escayola. How do we say that one? A cast. Okay, a cast. Cabestrillo. Sometimes if somebody has a broken arm, they have a cast and then they have something to hold it up. That's called a sling. A sling. Okay. This one's easy. Jarabe. Jarabe de tos. Cough syrup. We say sirope de tos. Okay. So those are just some key words. You've got many, many more here in this chapter. It's chapter 7 of my book, English Everywhere. Efectos secundarios o colaterales. Side effects. We don't say secondary, but we say side effects, right? Another common mistake. I have fever. Nope. I have a fever. I have a fever. Or I'm running a fever. Or I feel feverish, right? Or I have a temperature. That's another way to say it. All right, let me see. Anything else that I wanted to take? Okay, well, esta la vamos a ver de vosotros. Sarpullido. How would you say, tómate una pastilla a primera hora de la mañana? Take a pill first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning. I know you know the word drowsy because es un anglicismo que usáis aquí. To be drowsy. And you can say, I have a stomach ache. I have a toothache. No, it's H, it's ache. I have a stomach ache. I have a toothache. I have an earache. I have a backache. But you don't say I have a finger ache. So what I usually recommend in that case is you can always use the verb hurt. So my tooth hurts. My back hurts. Y eso es más universal, vale para todo, donde ache solo vale para algunas. De hecho, it's just a heartache. Nothing but a heartache. And this is if somebody breaks your heart. All right, so some good stuff to know. Just be careful, though, because you don't know how many times I've heard people say H. Y esa C-H-E es una K. Ache, ache. All right, reminds me of the song by Miley Cyrus's dad. Don't tell my heart, my achy, breaky heart. I just don't think you'll understand. And if you tell the world, the achy, breaky world, Yeah, you can learn from music. That's why we have a section here called Name That Lyric. And that's why I sing at least 5 or 10 times in each show. In fact, my daughter, she says, Dad, do you sing in all your classes? And I said, yeah, I can't help it, for I can't help. There you go. All right, let's see. We've got Born to Iron Man checking in. What's up, Born to Iron Man? He says, hiya, folks. Hello, sir. Hope you're doing well. There's Chris Valrol saying, hi, show with no namers of the world. Hello, Chris, and welcome aboard. It's wonderful to have you with us, as always. Chris has got something to say about our Say What soundbite. She says, I heard an American woman. Good ear. She is an American woman. And she's talking about the wage gap that sometimes exists between men and women. Wow. Good ear. Absolutely. I guess she's from the show business. Aquí quitamos la palabra the porque sería solo show business. I guess she's from show business, right? Sin el artículo definido. So, show business or showbiz. Me recuerda la canción, there's no business like show business, like no business I know. I told you, I can't help it. I've got to sing. Yeah. All right. So, and then she says she mentions 1989. No, it's not the year 1989. She's talking about a demographic. So she's talking about ages with those numbers. But great ear, Chris. Oh, and she corrects herself. She says, I was wrong. She says 18 to 49. Now you got it, Chris. Excellent. She also says, participating in the pop quiz, in the summer, I sometimes get a rash, but I don't treat it with a Band-Aid. Excellent. A rash. Un sarpullido. Yeah, a rash. The word also means impulsive, without thinking. So a lot of times, de hecho puede ser un double trouble. I got a rash because I made a rash decision. So muchas veces vemos esta palabra rash con decision, que una decisión impulsiva, temeraria, imprudente. Okay? In fact, you can expect to see that in a future double trouble. Now, just be careful. Rash is not pronounced the same as rush, right? A rush is un subidón, okay? And a rash, well, is something that you break out in. In fact, that's the verb we use. I think I'm breaking out. I don't know how, but I've got a rash all over my arms. And it's really itchy. It's really itchy. Me pica mucho. Okay? And a Band-Aid, very good. Chris gave us the American way to say that. A Band-Aid. Does anybody know how the British would say it? And again, this is another thing that I learned in my late 20s. Why? Because I'm not the only one who speaks English, right? And in my area, they would never call it that. But again, I'm just from one area, the northeast of the United States, that speaks English. Well, they call it plaster. Plaster. Do you have any plasters? Plaster. Now, for Americans, plaster is reboque, enlucido, yeso. It's what you put on the walls if you're building a house, right? You can put plaster on the walls. But for them, it's una tirita, okay? We call it a Band-Aid. Now, this is the brand name, so they did a really good job in promoting their product because that's what we call them. Do you have a Band-Aid? All right. And the last one, Chris says he wrapped the wound with a bandage. All right. That wasn't what I was looking for, but it's correct. He wrapped the wound with a bandage. Y vamos a pronunciar eso juntitos, por favor. Bandage, no bandage, sino bandage, right? He wrapped the wound with a bandage. Well, the one I was looking for was He wound a bandage around the wound. Why? Because both of those words are spelt the same, but they're not pronounced the same. So, he wound, que viene del verbo wind. Wind, wound, wound. So he wound a bandage around the wound. Wound, herida, wound, el pasado y el participio de wind, que se escribe igual que wind. O sea, tenemos palabras confusas ahí. So wind, viento. Wind, enrollar. ¿Ok? Bobinar. Y el pasado, wound. Pero si estamos hablando del sustantivo, entonces es wound. I know, it's confusing, and that's why I wanted to point it out. So excellent job, Chris Valrol. It seems like she's the only one participating here. Okay. You guys are leaving Chris hanging again, huh? Chris, I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, I know you can handle it, but man, all right. Let's see. Chris also says there's a pharmaceutical laboratory called OTC. I wonder if they only make over-the-counter products. Well, it makes sense. It makes sense, and especially since a lot of anglicismos are used here. Let's see. Chris also says we use rash in Spanish in medicine when someone comes with a rash. O sea, otro anglicismo. Incredible. Guys, Spanish is a rich language. You don't have to borrow from English. I mean, it's fine. It'll make English learning a little bit easier, won't it? But, interesting. I've never heard it, but also I don't deal with medical conditions very often. All right, folks. Well, that was your pop quiz. Wonderful job to Chris Valrol. The rest of you, well, you're there, but you're not participating. So, okay, no problem. No problem whatsoever, because we've got a lot of stuff to cover, and it's time for our news report.
This is the news report on the show with no name, bringing you the latest breaking news. I'm Alberto Alonso, reporting live.
All right, folks, welcome to our news report here. All right, I call this story Crabby Commute. What does that mean? Well, a commute, I always talk about commuting when I talk about Kyle's show or the Probo show. Well, both of those shows happen during commuter hour or rush hour. Ahí está la palabra rush, otra vez. So to commute is desplazarse. And what does it mean if somebody is crabby? Well, do you recognize the root? The root, crab, cangrejo. So if you're crabby, it means you're in a bad mood. Oh, stop being so crabby and have a cup of coffee. Crabby. Also, speaking of medical conditions, it's really funny because if you go to a restaurant and you ask the waiter if they have crabs, estás preguntando si tienen cangrejos o if this person has a sexually transmitted disease. Ladillas. That's right. Pubic lice. So be careful with that word. Well, no, right? If you ever see them under a microscope, I guess they look like little crabs. Remember we said if you associate it, you'll never forget it. But if somebody's crabby, it doesn't have to do with the animal or the STD, the sexually transmitted disease, has to do with being in a bad mood. So I call it crabby commute. And the driver of a Southwestern Railway train in England said he initially thought he was being pranked, que le estaban gastando una broma. He got word that there was a crab sitting in first class, the animal, okay? And these passengers that were on a train from London to Portsmouth, no se dice Portsmouth, sino Portsmouth, they spotted, to spot is to see, they spotted a small crab which was sitting in a first class seat. Hey, it's a smart crab. He's like, wait, I don't want to sit in coach. I want to be in first class. And basically, the driver was approached by a customer. And the customer said, "Excuse me, sir, there's a live crab on the seat over there, and it's been here since I got on. Desde que me subí yo." And the driver, again, he thought somebody was playing a prank on him or playing a joke on him. But he went back there and he confirmed that there was indeed a crab sitting in first class. So this driver escorted the crab, escoltar, he escorted the crab off the train. Now, people were concerned, though, because when they saw the driver get off the train holding a crab, people were just kind of like, wait, where am I? Why is there a crab in the driver's hand? Doesn't make any sense. The good thing is there was a local pond nearby. A pond, un charco, is that how you say it? Pond, vamos a ver. A pond, un estanque, that's the word. There was a local pond nearby, and they were able to release the crab into the pond. And, well, finally, that crab finished its commute. Now, they're still trying to figure out where the crab came from. Okay? And, well, the driver says, "I don't know," and I quote, "and I don't know if it fell out of a fisherman's bag." Maybe it was a fisherman, un pescadero. Or maybe it was some young people having a laugh. But he said, what I can't understand is how it came from London, a big city. Okay, there's a river, but I don't know how many crabs you'll find in the Thames. You say Thameses? We say the Thames. When I was a kid, I used to say Thames. Claro, si lo ves escrito es Thames, but we call it the Thames. So there you go, folks. Today's news report about a crabby crab. Well, he wasn't that crabby, I guess, if he was riding in first class. But now you know that word crabs has several meanings, and it even has its own adjective. Folks, we have got to go to a quick commercial break. We are halfway through the show, and we have much more to cover in the second half. So if I were you guys, I wouldn't even think of going anywhere. Stick around. Welcome back, folks. Welcome back to the second half of today's show with no name. It is an absolute honor and a pleasure to teach you English every day here on the show with no name. I thank you all for tuning in, whether you've been tuning in for a week, 3 days, or almost 18 years. You rock. Thank you so much. This is your show. That's why I urge you to participate every day. So let's see, Chris, are they going to leave you hanging in the second part of the show? I hope not. Either way, I know you can handle it. And again, we're not competing against each other here. Let's make that really clear. Same thing I tell my daughter. You're not competing with anybody except yourself. You want to be a better version of yourself every day. Stronger, more knowledgeable. And if you do that, that's what we call evolution, baby. Don't forget to stop by Von Tienda as well to pick up any of our awesome materials. If you're looking for courses, well, of course, we've got you covered. Go to grupovon.com and you can find out about all different courses for all different levels, all different budgets, presupuestos, because we aren't all in the same boat. Buena expresión. No estamos todos en la misma situación. We are all unique snowflakes. I might as well explain that. Okay, when I was younger, they were like, we're like snowflakes. We're each unique. But now that term has taken on a derogatory meaning. You know, if somebody calls you a snowflake these days, it means you think you're special and unique. But if there's a little bit of heat, a little bit of pressure, you're gone. You are delicado. Okay, so it's an oversensitive person. But when I was a kid, it just meant you were unique. But also, I get the new meaning because there are a lot of hypersensitive people out there who wake up every morning saying, how am I going to be offended today? Who's going to say something that strikes me the wrong way? And all I've got to say is, that's pretty sad. Look for reasons to be happy, not to be unhappy. I'll never understand that. I don't know. Hey, society has changed quite a bit since I was a kid. I'm also over the hill. You know this expression? To be over the hill means pasado de rosca. No, that's not it. Over the hill. Let's look it up. It means I'm old. Okay, it's another way of saying I'm old. Estar para el arrastre. I love it. De hecho, lo he oído muchas veces. Este está para el arrastre. I'm over the hill. Maybe it's a young people thing that I don't get, but I'm always looking for reasons to be happy, to be thankful, and not, looking at ways people make me happy, not the way people upset me or offend me. And if you get offended easily, I'll just remind you of what Mr. Ricky Gervais said about that. He goes, just because you're offended doesn't make you right. No te da la razón. So think about that next time you're offended by something that somebody else said who you don't even know, or right, you're never going to know. But again, I think it's a societal thing. It's something that when we were a kid, we would try not to be offended by anything, because if you were offended, well, that was your problem. Try it out. No, llora y ya te recuperarás, And now it's society's problem if you're offended. All right. Well, I hope you're not offended by today's homophones on the show with no name.
Homophones on the show with no name. It's homophones time, cause homophones rhyme. They sound the same on the show with no name. The show with no name. Homophones on the show with no name. Cause homophones time, it's homophones rhyme. They sound the same on the show with no name. The show with no name. The show with no name.
All right, amigos, let's take a look at our homophones. And the first one is avión. I know you know the word avión. I imagine you know the word avión. It's also a flat surface. Vamos a pronunciar esa palabra juntos. No surface, surface. Surface. So it's a flat surface. Plano. Okay, plano. It is also llano. So if something is llano. And it's also regular. So what do I mean by regular? If you want a slice of pizza in New York and you want margarita, we don't call it margarita. We call it Okay. If you want a bagel and you don't want it with sesame seeds or poppy seeds, amapola, well, then you ask for this. So it means el normal, el de toda la vida, no el que lleva otras cosas. Okay. So you can get a slice of pepperoni pizza or this one. Oh, no, pero eso es la segunda palabra. So I'm jumping ahead of myself here. So the first word again is avión plano. Okay, avión plano. That second word is sencillo, simple, puro, a la vista y el normal. Okay, el que no lleva adornos, el que no lleva pepperoni, por ejemplo, or any other topping. Eso se llaman toppings. Okay, so there are your words. The first one, avión, un sitio plano. And the second one is simple, solo. Puro o pura y dura, it says here. Sencillo, sin adornos. All right. I'm pretty sure that first word shouldn't be a problem at all. It's maybe that second one you're not as familiar with. Well, we'll see. And we'll take a look at that in just a moment because I've got to give you the Say What soundbite. Here it is for the third time. We should be getting closer to figuring it out. Here you go.
And then it was year 6, and my contract is now up. I want you to pay me what you're paying the men. I have the highest demographics of all women in television, 18 to 49. You can see I smartened up by this point.
Listen carefully. Can you hear that? No. Listen closer. I'm not talking about the birds chirping. I'm talking about everybody speaking English and feeling comfortable. Listen. This is what it's like at Vaughan Town, a peaceful place where you can really learn English and lose your inhibitions. There's a reason it's one of our star programs. Vaughan Town, lose your fear of speaking English. If you want more information about this immersive experience, go to grupovon.com or give us a call, 911-385831. Lose your fear of speaking English and express yourself with clarity at Vaughan Town. That's right, amigos. It's Vaughan Town. It is an immersive experience, and I would even go as far as saying a life-changing experience. It's not just going to take your English up a notch or two, un peldaño, a notch or two, but it's also gonna, I think, open your eyes to new people, new contacts. You know, think about it. One thing is going there and being immersed in the language, and another thing is leaving there with a bunch of new contacts that live in English-speaking countries. Hello. Now you've got a friend in England. Now you've got a friend in Scotland. Now you've got a friend over in the United States. Why? Because you went to Vaughan Town and you're a nice person and you mingled, to mingles, mezclar, and the rest is history. So it's just the beginning of your next step in your English journey. It's Vaughan Town, and it is definitely groundbreaking. Revolucionario. I'm not just saying that because I work for this company. I'm saying it because when I first saw the idea many, many years ago, I think I always tell you this story. When I went in for my interview and I saw the clippings, the newspaper cutouts on the wall in the frames, and it said, Richard Vaughan, empresario tal, empieza un pueblo en medio de tal. And I'm like, wow, this guy really is a visionary. And look at that. Fast forward, because I've been doing this radio show for 17 years, but I've been with the company for over 20. That's right. I was teaching before that, and teaching at companies. I was doing the summer impacts. I even did residential. So I've been with the company for over 20 years, even though the radio is just about 17 years of that time. So, all right, let's go on over here to our chat room and we'll see who's participating in today's homophones. The first person to take a stab at it is Born to Iron Man, and he gives us the two words correctly, and he says they sound alike. All right. Let's see. Chris Valrol gives us the two words correctly, and she says they're homophones, and she said she learned that second word from yogurt. Exactly. Another great example. So tienes yogur de fresa, pero luego tienes el que no tiene adornos, que no tiene sabor, es el normal. Okay. And that is that second word. Really good word to know because it's used often. As I said, anytime you're ordering one that doesn't have flavor, the normal one, the one without toppings, right? Then you're going to say that one. All right, so the first word comes from airplane, and the word is plane. You don't have to say airplane. You know, I think we say the word enough that you can just say, we were on a plane yesterday. Let me see. The rain in the plane stays in Spain. There's an old rhyme, and let's see. The rain in Spain. Okay, that's it. The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain. You know this one? This is from My Fair Lady. In fact, I was curious where that came from, but it's something most Americans know. Okay. And this has the word plane, but here we're not talking about avión. We're talking about that second word over there, the plain, Plain, which is a llanura as well. So this is interesting. Both of these words are very, very rich words, right? So the expression is, the rain in Spain, well, it's a lyric in a song. If you'd like, Google, the rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain. Now, I think the misunderstanding that most native speakers had, and I mean that, native speakers, is that we thought it meant the plane, el avión, para que veas que suenan igual. Si no lo ves escrito, you're like, pero ¿cómo que solo llueve en el avión? No tiene sentido. No, porque plane, el segundo, que suena como el primero, que es avión, es llanura. Okay. In fact, an area of the United States we call the Great Plains. A ver qué zona es. I think it's centrally located. The Great Plains is a broad expanse of flat land in North America, and it stretches east of the Rocky Mountains. Okay, so the Great Plains. Y esa es la segunda, Plain. So do they sound the same? Absolutely. So much that when we were younger, I would say not just myself, but many of us didn't understand why it was raining on a plane. But it wasn't that kind of plane. So excellent job. Awesome. Plain yogurt. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, isn't there a series called Plain Jane? Plain Jane. And eso es, it's a song. That's what it is. It's a song. I thought it was a series. Well, it also, Plain Jane means an unattractive woman. Okay, without, sin adornos. Again, if you think about the concept, the idea behind it. Now, I wouldn't go around calling anybody that, but I want you to know when you hear Plain Jane. And I have a friend who's a pilot, and her handle on social media is Plain Jane, but not plain sin adornos, sino plain avión, porque es pilota. So you see, we're always playing with those words, and now you know that they sound exactly the same. Chris also says, without mayo, or hold the mayo. I want it plain, without anything added. All right? And then there's a Nirvana song. I'm on a plane, I can't complain. On a plane, Nirvana. Y claro, si no ves la letra, estás pensando que dice, estoy en un avión. Pero cuando ves que estoy en una llanura o estoy en un sitio donde no salgo. Remember, it can also be in the figurative sense, como no avanzo. I'm on a plane, I can't complain. I'm on a plane. I start this off without any words. I got so high, I scratched till I bled. Who said you can't learn from Nirvana? Okay, I've got a question for you. What does he say in the song Smells Like Teen Spirit? Na 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 na. Do you know? All right, let's take a look at it really quickly. And I'll tell you what, a lot of native speakers, I remember my friend Suzanne, because I did an episode of my YouTube series that I was doing called The Morning Singer on that song. And my friend Suzanne, who's from England, was like, I never knew what they were saying in that song. All right, well, let's take a look at it really quickly. We'll demystify it. He starts out by saying, with the lights out, it's less dangerous. Con las luces apagadas es menos peligroso. Here we are now. Aquí estamos. Entertain us. Entretennos. I feel stupid and contagious. I feel stupid and contagious. Here we are now. Entertain us. Esa parte lo repite. A mulatto, an albino, a mosquito, my libido. Yeah. And I love the part too. I mean, it's really, the lyrics are kind of crazy, but at the same time, he's always playing with words like I tell you guys to do. Another part of the song, he goes, hello, 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 how low? Dice, hello, 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 hola, 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 cuán bajo, how low? So awesome stuff. It's Nirvana. Chris, you got the lyrics. Great. Wow. I'm gotta say, I know a lot of native speakers who don't know those lyrics. So excellent job in our homophone section. And now it's time for Wacky World Records.
Wacky World Records. These are the wackiest records in the whole wide world.
That's right, folks. Wacky World Records. And today we are taking a look at the widest wig. What? Wide? What does that mean? Well, wide, we talk about the length, the height, the width, right? So wide is el ancho, if I'm not mistaken. And a woman named Helen Williams previously earned the Guinness World Record for the longest handmade wig. Okay, now that wig was, are you ready for this? 351 meters long. Okay, a wig. You say, how do you say wig in Spanish? Ahora se me olvida. Wig, toupee. Well, let's see, wig. Peluca, that's the word, peluca. So this woman, she is a professional wig maker from Nigeria. Well, she decided that that record wasn't enough. And yeah, it's nice to have the longest wig in the world, but she wanted to have the widest wig in the world too. While she's at it, ya que está. So the longest, and she still has that record, is 351 meters long. Well, recently she decided to make the widest wig. Remember, we're talking about length and width, si usamos los sustantivos. And now she has officially taken the record for the widest wig as well. And that is 30.5 centimeters. So 30.5 centimeters. Just to give you an idea, it's 1 inch, un pulgar, que es medio pulgar aquí. Una pulgada, you say? Yeah. So medio, we usually measure an inch by the top part of our thumb. So from your fingertip to where your knuckle starts, that's about an inch, right? When we're doing, and a foot, pones el pie, empiezas a pisar. Okay, it's about 3 feet, give or take, más o menos. Well, to give you an idea, this wig is as wide as a Mini Cooper car is long. So, ladies and gentlemen, she is the official wig master. Her name is Helen Williams, a wig maker from Nigeria. She used more than 800 bundles of real hair. Do you know the word bundles? A bundle, un fardo, is that the word? Yeah, bulto, fardo, manojo. Okay, so she used more than 800 bundles of real hair to make this record-breaking wig. And then she decorated it with 1,000 rhinestones. Well, she didn't want it to be a plain wig, sin adornos. And rhinestones are diamantes de imitación. So there you go, folks. That's today's Wacky World Record. Now it's time for your Spelling Bee.
Spelling bee. Spelling bee. Spelling bee. Spelling bee. Spelling bee.
That's right, folks. It's time for our spelling bee, and round one is not for the faint of heart. No es apto para cardíacos. Here we go. The first word is French space REVOLUTION. The second one is MARIE space ANTOINETTE. The third one, ARCHDUCHESS space AUSTRIA. The next one is KING space LOUIS space Roman numeral 16. The next one is BEHEADED. And the last one is PLACE space REVOLUTION. There you go, folks. Those are your words. If you got that, my God. Yeah. All right. So obviously, this has something to do with something painful. If somebody's screaming in the background, you know, you've heard that scream thousands of times in movies. In fact, they put it in there all the time. There's even a documentary about it. It's called the Wilhelm, con W, Wilhelm, pero me imagino que lo pronuncian es Wilhelm, the Wilhelm Scream. And you've heard it in Star Wars and many, many other movies as well. And it's almost like a running joke now, where sound engineers put it in there. They're like, we got to put it in there somewhere. It's almost like a wink or a nod. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we have a winner. Oh my God, unbelievable speed and accuracy. Give it up for Born to Iron Man. Wow. All right, here's round two. The first one is FRENCH space REVOLUTION. The second one is MARIE space ANTOINETTE. The third one, ARCHDUCHESS space AUSTRIA. The fourth one is KING space LOUIS space Roman numeral 16. The next one is BEHEADED. The sixth and last one is PLACE space REVOLUTION. Folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back with the rest of today's show. So stick around. Welcome back, folks. Welcome back. This is, I can't believe it, the fourth and final part of today's show. I hope you guys are having fun I hope you're learning, and I hope you're ready for more, because I got some more challenges coming your way in this, the fourth and final part of today's show. We've got today's Double Trouble. Oh, wait. Did I say double trouble? Triple trouble. That's right. Our triple trouble. We'll check your spelling bee answers. I see we've got Born to Iron Man and Chris Valrol, who have figured them out. Plus, we've got Name That Movie. You're Joking. Famous birthday trivia. Name That Lyric. And when this show is over, the learning continues with Speaking with Confidence with Ale. Download the free Vaughn Radio app and you can learn wherever, whenever. The best thing about Vaughn Radio, it's free. That's cool. And it's not like free like Facebook. It's free, but we're going to track all your data. Is that free? Yeah? Your privacy is free? Okay. Here, we're not interested in your data. Of course, if you want to pick up a material from time to time or sign up for a course, well, that always helps to make sure Vaughn Radio is still here next time you turn it on. So, folks, thank you again for learning and laughing with all of us every day here on Vaughn Radio. And remember, if you can't catch all our shows, which I get, sometimes life gets in the way, you've got all of them available on your favorite podcast platform. All right, so without any further ado, let's kick off with Triple Trouble.
Double trouble, baby. Yeah, you know what time it is. Give it up. Double trouble. I said double trouble. Double trouble. I said double trouble.
All right, folks, it is a triple trouble here on the show with no name today. Good luck. El policía está reventado por hacer su ronda. Es mejor que o supera estar en la comisaría. All right, so el policía está reventado por hacer su ronda. I looked it up. Hacer su ronda, ¿no? Hacer su patrulla. Pero es mejor que o supera estar en comisaría. All right, so you've got to use the same word 3 times in this translation. Hopefully somebody will be able to figure it out. El policía está reventado por hacer o de hacer su ronda. Okay, eso es lo que le ha cansado. Es mejor que o supera, que es lo mismo, estar en la comisaría. All right, that's your triple trouble. Hopefully you can use the same word 3 times. It's a little bit tough today, but I have a hunch somebody is going to be able to figure it out. Also, let me give you the Say What soundbite. Here it is for the 4th and final time.
And then it was year 6, and my contract is now up. I want you to pay me what you're paying the men. I have the highest demographics of all women in television, 18 to 49. You can see I smartened up by this point.
¿Te gustaría abrir puertas a nuevas oportunidades y estar listo para cualquier desafío? Con el máster de inglés del Grupo Vaughan podrás transformar tu futuro. Este programa intensivo te ayudará a dominar el inglés profesional, perfeccionar tu comunicación y ganar la confianza que necesitas para conseguir tus objetivos. Nuestros profesores Vaughan especializados te prepararán para afrontar en inglés todas las situaciones de comunicación en un entorno profesional. No dejes que el inglés sea una barrera.
Invierte en tu futuro con el máster de inglés profesional del Grupo Vaughan. Llámanos al 91-133-5833 o entra en grupovaughan.com.
More information about our masters at grupovaughn.com. Also, make sure you're following Vaughn on social media, and this way you can stay abreast. Yes, that's another way of saying mantenerte al día. You can stay abreast of everything that's going on, from upcoming events, the openings of new centers, special deals, and all that jazz. All right. Now, nobody has figured out the triple trouble yet, but as I said, Born to Iron Man and Chris Valrol have figured out, oops, wrong one. That's the one. There it is. They have figured out our spelling bee. Oh, Chris says, oh, I made a mistake, but I'm not going to lose my head. That's funny, Chris. Well, you know why? Because today's spelling bee had to do with decapitation, with beheadings. Yeah, to behead or to decapitate is to cut somebody's head off. And it's because today in 1793, okay, 1793, in 1793, during the French Revolution, Queen Marie Antoinette was executed. She was beheaded or decapitated by, you know, the guillotine. So number one was French Revolution. Number two, the person in question, Marie Antoinette. Number three, one of her many titles. She was the Archduchess of Austria. So the Duke is el Duque, Duquesa is Duchess. Okay, an arch, yeah, see, I don't know the different titles, but I guess that means you're more important than a normal Duke or Duchess. So Duke and Duchess would be the male and female versions of those titles. Austria, well, that's a country. Number four, King Louis the 16th, who was her husband. Number five was beheaded, decapitated, beheaded. And number six is where it took place, Place de la Révolution. And I know I probably said that wrong because, well, now it's not even called that. It's called Place de la Concorde, right? And it's in Paris. It's a public square not far from the Champs-Élysées. And I'm going to stop speaking French now, or trying to speak French. All right, let's see. We've got Born to Iron Man taking a stab at today's triple trouble. Let's see how he did. He said, the police officer is beat from walking his beat, but it's better than taking a beating at the station. All right, I'm going to give it to you, but you complicated it there. You didn't have to. Okay, so the police officer is beat. If somebody is beat, they're exhausted. I am beat today, man. That means I'm exhausted. The police officer or cop is beat from walking his beat. That's great, man. To walk your beat is hacer las rondas, right? That you have to do. But it's better than, pues que si te digo que puedes decir, but it beats being at the station. It beats supera. Piénsalo. To beat is vencer. Pues también it beats, if you say something beats something, man, this, for example, you're on vacation and you're near the pool and you're like, man, this beats working. No, esto le gana, esto supera a tal cosa. Now, just be careful, because if you say it beats me, I have no idea, right? If somebody says, do you know what time she left yesterday? Beats me. Beats me means me supera. Bueno, es igual, me supera. No tengo ni idea. But if something beats something, I know you know it from our team beat the away team, right? Ganar, vencer. But also it's superar, ser mejor que. So excellent job there. Because to take a beating is recibir una paliza. Okay, so you altered the meaning a little bit, but you did get all three words. But if we simplify it, it can be the cop is beat from walking his beat. It beats being at the police station. Okay, it beats, supera, es mejor. And that word beat has many other meanings as well. Your heart beat, right? And many other meanings. So there you go. Excellent job, man. All right. Well, I know many people said when I gave you the triple trouble today, beats me. No sé yo no me entero. Well, now you know this very rich word, beat. All right. And it won't beat you next time. But folks, it's time to move on to Name That Movie. Name that movie. All right, amigos, here we go. This is today's Name That Movie. I love this movie. I love this one. I love its prequel, the one that came before it. And we'll see if you guys recognize it. Now, if you know this movie, you're going to know right away from the lieutenant's name. Lieutenant, teniente, I think you say. So here we go. Lieutenant Frank Drebin. O lo sabes o no. Yeah. And this is a point where we know if you know it right away, because if you know this character, then you love this character. Lieutenant Frank Drebin discovers that his ex-girlfriend's new beau is a very formal way of saying chico, is involved in a plot, un complot, to kidnap a scientist who advocates solar energy. Okay, to advocate is ser defensor de. Okay, if it's a noun, you say he's an advocate, pero el verbo, he advocates it. Okay, so cuidado, dependiendo si lo pronunciamos, la terminación cambia si es sustantivo o verbo. Okay, so Lieutenant, teniente Frank Drebin discovers that his ex-girlfriend's new beau, su chico nuevo, is involved in a plot to kidnap, secuestrar, a scientist who advocates solar energy, energía solar. Frank Drebin. Does that name ring a bell? Frank Drebin. Man, probably my favorite cop ever. Frank Drebin. All right, well, let's take a look at the scene from this movie. The chief of staff, vamos a mirar muchos puestos hoy, ¿no? Entre archdukes, chief of staff. Okay, chief of staff is jefe de personal, jefe de estado mayor. Okay, jefe de gabinete. That's a chief of staff. So the chief of staff says, "Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight, I am extremely proud to welcome our distinguished guests from the nation's energy suppliers, los suministradores de energía. From the coal industry, coal is carbón, chairman of the Society for More Coal Energy, or SMOKE." ¿Ves lo que está pasando ahí? So, SMOC es smoke, aunque es con una K, con carbón, humo. Okay. Then he goes, from the chairman of this, Then he says, Mr. Terrence Baggett, representing the oil industry, the head of the Society of Petroleum Industry Leaders, better known as SPIL. SPIL, derramar, aceite, petróleo. You see what's going on here? So the names of the acronyms that describe each institution is describing what they do, right? So smoke is the coal energy one, okay? Spill is for the oil industry. And he says, and from the nuclear industry, the president of the Key Atomic Benefits Office of Mankind. Kaboom! Kaboom, right? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have got a winner. Please give it up for your movie queen, Chris Valrol. It's The Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear, and it came out in 1991. It is the follow-up to The Naked Gun. Now, you call it grab it however you can. Agárralo como puedas, right? The same way you call airplane, vimos la palabra plane antes, you call airplane land however you can. Los como puedas. Well, those are some of my favorite directors ever. And in fact, those are the Zucker brothers and Jim Abrams. They're the writers and directors. They did The Naked Guns. They did also Airplane and the sequel as well. And I am a huge fan. In fact, together, they call them Zaz, Zucker, Abrams, and Zucker. Okay, because those three guys have made some of the funniest movies ever. IMO, in my opinion. All right, excellent job. But now it's time to learn with some humor in your joking.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, what did the guy say when he walked into the bar? Ouch. Ouch. You get it? Ouch. He walked into the bar.
You're joking.
That's right, folks. You're joking. And I figured today we could take a look at some jokes that had to do with the ocean. Why? Well, because we were looking at crabs before in our news report, our crabby commuter. And now you know that double meaning of crabs. Just be careful again with the waiter, because if you're asking him, do you have crabs? You could be asking two different questions there. All right, let's see if you get these jokes. Why did the manta ray want to talk to the diver? Why did the manta ray or the stingray, ¿te suena manta raya? Or stingray, porque pican, right? That tail that they have. So why did the manta ray want to talk to the diver? Well, he wanted to have a man-to-man conversation. No. A man-to-man conversation, una conversación seria, de cara a cara, de tú a mí, a yo, de tú a, I don't know how you say that in Spanish. A man-to-man conversation. You can also say a heart-to-heart conversation, sincerarse. But you get it? A man-to-man. Well, that two is not pronounced like two. We don't say, I want to have a man-to-man conversation with you right now. We would say, I want to have a man-to-man, right? Muchas veces ese tú es ta a la hora de pronunciarla. Y esto es un ejemplo perfecto. So why did the stingray want to talk to the diver? Because he wanted to have a man-to-man conversation. All right, why did the scuba diver bring a mop with him? Why did the scuba diver bring a mop with him? Because he wanted to clean up the sea floor. El suelo marino. Well, you guys call it el fondo marino, el lecho marino. But we call it the sea floor, which is literally the bottom of the ocean. All right, last one. Where does a shark usually go on holiday? Where does a shark usually go on holiday? Finland, of course. Finland, Finlandia, but also a fin is dorsal o aleta. So la tierra de las aletas, Finland. Okay. These are really bad jokes, but hopefully you learned some double meanings. Also, a nice round of applause for Chris Valrol taking a stab at today's Say What soundbite, which we're going to check out in just a moment after today's famous birthday trivia.
birthdays for you. Famous birthdays for me. Famous birthdays for everyone on the show with no name. Famous birthdays for him. Famous birthdays for her. Famous birthdays for everyone on the show with no name.
All right, my amigos, let's take a look at our famous birthdays. Number one, this guy was born today in 1947, an American director, producer, and screenwriter. And he has worked with He has worked with Jim Abrams. He is one of his collaborators. Remember, I just talked about them in the Naked Gun franchise. Also, Airplane, also Scary Movie 3, Scary Movie 4. This guy also directed those. So these kind of goofball comedies, estos comedias de tontos, no? But we all love them, right? Goofball comedies. A ver cómo lo traducen aquí. A goofball comedy, que no hay que pensar mucho. Goofball comedy. Well, the word goofball is bobo, tonto. Right? So a silly comedy, really. All right. Number two, this guy is an American singer, songwriter, and guitarist, better known as a founding member of the Grateful Dead, an American institution, but he has worked with everyone, and he's still going. In fact, even though Jerry Garcia, the original lead singer, died, this guy has been keeping the band together and touring with other members of the band. I remember the Grateful Dead was my first concert that I ever attended, and it was with Sting as the opening band, El Telonero. And last but not least, this American actress was born today in 1946. She played Chrissy Snow in Three's Company. That's right, Three's Company. Remember that show? Come and knock on our door. Take a step that is new, where the kisses are hers and his. Three's Company too. My first crush. Yeah. I remember watching that show for the first time and thinking, she was the blonde in that show. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Chris Valrol. Number one, David Zucker. One of the Zucker brothers. Number two, Bob Weir. And number three, Suzanne Summers. And that's going to bring us right into today's Say What soundbite. This is Suzanne Summers, and she's talking about how she got fired from the show because she wanted more money. She wanted to make what the male actors were making. And they told her, yeah, right. And she was replaced. If you know that show, after it was Chrissy's cousin who joined them because Chrissy was no longer. So this is her talking about that very traumatic experience. She says, and then it was year 6. Ya llegó año 6 de su contrato. It was year 6, and now my contract is up. Se ha expirado mi contrato. And then she said, I want you to pay me what you're paying the men. I am the highest demographics of all women in television, 18 to 49. And she says, you can see I smartened up. To smarten up es espabilarse, hacerse más listo. You can see I smartened up by this point. So here she is, birthday girl Suzanne Summers, a.k.a. Chrissy Snow, a.k.a. the Thigh Master. Because remember, she used to have a product for your thighs, los muslos, that she also sold on TV. So here she is, Suzanne Summers.
And then it was year 6, and my contract is now up. I want you to pay me what you're paying the men. I have the highest demographics of all women in television, 18 to 49. You can see I smartened up by this point.
All right, and you guys definitely smartened up after 2 hours here learning English with me. Thank you so much to all of you for being here today and every day. We're going to say goodbye with the Grateful Dead and their song Touch of Grey. I highly recommend it. You know why? because the chorus is me las apañaré, right? Saldré del paso. I will get by. I will survive. Thank you so much, everybody. We will get by. We will survive. Come on. Thank you so much, everybody. Ciao for now.